I think for me it was having that regular time that you just spent for yourself. I wasn't going to get distracted, by, I don't know, chores or, you didn't have anybody else who was not related to what you were doing kind of coming in and kind of disturbing that space and that time. And then the other thing was that you often think that finding that time is not achievable. Well, then to just not think about anything else in that hour and a half, and get to that point where you were itching to kind of just be unleashed onto the equipment, because then you knew it was like it was that kind of soothing, kind of therapeutic time that you could spend. It became quite precious. Well, I think I'm a bit biased because I think, in terms of art anyway, it's an essential part, or I've learned over the last couple of years, it's really an essential part of your day-to-day activity, any kind of creative activity. Where resources are available, that this is just a regular activity that people can come into, and that you can work through issues. It's like every day you're going to have, for the rest of your life, you're going to have things that come in and out of your life and need to find ways of working through it. And I think creativity is an important part of that, our day-to-day intrinsic part of our lives that we should really be encouraging. I think when I first started, there are still aspects of my role as a carer that I've not talked about, because it's almost as if there are some things that when you talk about them, it makes them real. The reality of my mum with dementia, and say whether she lives 2 or 3 years, 5 years, and the eventuality is that she's going to die. And so there are some things that, in terms of to be able to continue and to carry on in your role, you leave lots away. And I realise, that there are still things that I'm not speaking about, or I haven't spoken about, or I still feel, wondering how, say, my mother thinks about not being able to do things. I was able to not only see visually but also articulate that I compartmentalise things, and that's what enabled me to deal with my role. And then looking back, as we looked back on some of our work and that we'd done, I was then able to see how I still do that to a certain extent, but there's more of a freedom in terms of the way I approach my art. Even within the caring role, the thing that makes it more bearable is that I'm doing something creative. Finding those pockets of time that I can do even within my role then helps the role that I'm doing more bearable. That's the key thing in terms of, as a carer, you find that it feels as if you don't have any time for yourself, because your focus and concentration is switched on to somebody else, and there isn't anybody doing the same for you. So you're not only having to take care of your own day-to-day, but you're having to take care of another adult. It's not as if they can reciprocate and say, okay, well, no, you sit down and have a cup of tea. It's just you're giving all the time. So doing that art means that you're giving to yourself. I still feel that sense of peace, relaxation, the therapeutic kind of benefits of just being able to relax and unwind in the making, and the not really thinking about anything in particular or everything in particular, and just being able to use your hands and use your other senses in a different way. I think what the art therapy was able to do was create a space where it was you're focusing on you, because as a carer that's one of the main things that you don't get to do. You're thinking about everybody else and everything else, and it created a space where that time was yours. And I think that it's for me now to then continue that practice. The main thing that it's made me do is not is to not wait to be given that time for myself, but actually take it and say no, well, and be more clear about what it is I want or expect or will do or won't do. And I think that I think that's really important, because I think that definitely affects, in terms of when you think, in terms of when things then happen that you have to deal with, you're able to deal with it more objectively rather than you're right in the middle of it and there's nobody to help you. The thing that stands out for me is, I think, something that I made. Well, what I did with the pieces was I painted the pieces, abstract colours. I love colours, and I wanted to then bring it together, and I used string. I had wanted to use other things, but just using what we had, I used needle and thread and kind of connected them together with string, and I found some really nice shells and I put that on the front of the picture. And then I found these little discs, cardboard discs, and the pipe cleaners, some kind of pipe cleaners, different colours, and then threaded the book with the thread, and then on the front I put beginning, and it was almost as if, for me, it was like writing the next chapter of your life, it was, there were things, so when you come to the book it's already pre-coloured, there's already a first layer of paint, and that was almost like, well, in life there's certain things that that you're going to have. The fact is I'm a mother, the fact is I'm married, the fact is you've got responsibilities, I've got a mother who I care for, so they're already things that are preset, and then things are changing, but whatever I next put on this book is about me and my journey, and it could be the beginning of new things, it could be seeing old things in a new way, and I liked the feel of the book, I liked the sound of the shells, so it appealed to the different senses. The idea of the book, and that you can put things on, and whatever I choose to put on, nobody else is going to use it. It's again all about me, all about the time that I need to spend focusing on giving myself that space, and because nobody else is going to give you permission, nobody else is going to do anything unless you ask them to, so it's giving myself permission to spend that time on me.